Why, hello and welcome everybody. It is Pohx again. So, the month of October, the month of Halloween, the one where we trick-or-treat, also has a ton of games coming out slash going to beta, alpha. It's pretty insane. I don't think I've ever seen this many games actually coming out in such a short amount of time. So let's talk about the games that are going to be upcoming on the stream and also upcoming on the YouTube, because I've been really random and I don't have a schedule yet. I said I was going to get it up. I didn't get it up. It's hard to get it up. You get embarrassed sometimes and just limp. I mean, what? So let's slowly talk about this and ease my way into it, all right? So first off, we've got The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth coming out. The Binding of Isaac is a roguelike game where pretty much everything is always randomized when you play it. No playthrough is ever the same. I think the story is like a kid who got kicked by his mom and he's down in the depths of hell and he's trying to kill his mom. I don't know. It's a lot more in depth than that. Don't take my word for storyline. I was never good at it. But anyway, it's a really cool roguelike game. It's actually one of my personal favorites, and it is an expansion. Afterbirth is an expansion to Rebirth, which came out a little over a year ago, I want to say. All right, the next game on the list. And this comes out October 30th. I don't have the exact dates for all the games, but the next game on the list is Blade and Soul, which closed beta is coming out October 30th. Now, there was an alpha that was going on in Blade and Soul, I think yesterday it started, or the day before yesterday. Unfortunately, I was not able to gain access to it because I can't really drop $150 on the game right now, or $50, etc., because I'm kind of spreading myself out really thin and playing a bunch of games, and you don't make a lot of money when you do that, but it makes me happy, So I've been trying to get in contact with them. If all goes well, I will very well be in this next set of betas or this next alpha, whichever one, well, alpha or beta, if alpha will come before it. If all goes well, I can't really talk too much on the subject. I may have signed some NDA, so we'll see how that goes. Tree of Savior, which is one of my personal favorites. Now, before I actually move on, I want to talk a little bit about Blade and Soul. Blade and Soul has been delayed for like 5 years, so the game itself, it was really ahead of its time when it first came out. The problem with Blade and Soul now is it's not necessarily a problem, it's just a lot of things might seem a little bit outdated because there's games with like newer engines and stuff, which I could be wrong on. I'm just trying to act smart here. But one thing that Blade and Soul has that a lot of other games don't have. So Blade and Soul is actually an esport over in, I don't know if it's Japan or Korea. It's one of those. I don't do my research. I'm sorry. But it's got phenomenal PvP, and that's what it's known for. The PvE scene, from what I've been told, isn't the greatest, but it's got really fluid combat. It's got combat very close in the sense of Terra. It's not like Terra, but it's true action aside from maybe aiming some auto attacks. And it's made around PvP, which is really cool. Because you think of like action role-playing games, which are like true action combat, but almost every true action combat game you play, with the exception of a few, I know I really like Bloodline Champions, had really shit PvP. Blade and Soul, their whole thing is about PvP. Next up, we've got one of my personal favorites, which is Tree of Savior. Now, Tree of Savior is essentially the successor to Ragnarok. One of the I think it was the lead dev, he swapped over to start doing Tree of Savior because nobody even heard of Ragnarok 2 because it never actually got released, Kappa. And this game is like your 100% Korean grind game. You go in, it's a hack and slash, you grab, fucking 30, 40, 50 mobs, you AoE them down, you got really fun epic boss fights. But more importantly, one of the really cool things about it is it's got a job class system. Job class, essentially, like you start off as one of 4 base jobs. So you have like swordsman and mage, for example, right? Those are 2. I think it's actually swordsman, mage, archer, cleric. There might be more. I could be wrong. So I'm just gonna shut up. But anyway, you have your base classes, and then you kind of like evolve. So they have like Digimon, and like every time you evolve, you split 2 times, and you can go like up to 9 splits. So you go like swordsman into blank blank, or you go swordsman into swordsman 2. And then you have Swordsman 2, you now skip the previous 2 tiers, and you have 2 more tiers. So it adds like an insane amount of depth to the game. And games like this really add character progression because you're constantly grinding and grinding and grinding. And this game is literally all about grinding. So if you're gonna say the game's too grindy, don't play the game. your character is constantly evolving and morphing, and that's really, really, really cool for me. Opposed to most MMOs, you know, I get bored of them sometimes because you unlock all your skills, say, at like level 30, and you're done. This one, it just keeps on going and going and going, and it's very fluid combat. And you got a lot of cool things, like, I don't know if you just saw in this video previously. This guy does a lot of, I'll promote this guy, he's really cool. His name is Stepperu. So I'll put his YouTube description in here if you guys want to see it. But you've got classes like the Linker, for example, where like pretty cool mechanics where you link mobs together and you hit and it spreads damage like to every target, or vice versa with allies, and it's really cool. They've got some interesting mechanics. So another one that's coming out soon is Devilian. We don't have a set date on this one, but this Tree of Savior is going into beta sometime this month for a month-long beta, and I am automatically set to get in because I got into the previous beta. Next up is Devilian, which is a game I've been playing for quite some time. Like a week, maybe a little more than a week. Devilian is essentially a MMORPG fused with action role-playing like combat that also does focus a bit on PvP. It's by the same developers as Bluehole, so it's naturally got insane combat and really fluid boss fights, also epic boss fights because it's from the same devs as Terra. It is being published by Tryon, so I know a lot of red flags fly up everywhere. But the game will initially be free to play, so you know what? You can complain all you want, but in the end, if you don't like the game, it didn't take anything from you. That's why a game comes out as free to play. So, this beta. This game is set to be fully released before the end of this year, so that's coming out as well. Next up is Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 has their expansion for Heart of Thorns, October 23rd. Now, originally, I didn't really like Guild Wars too much. Like, I like the leveling process, I like the whole theme, I felt that it was lacking a lot. A lot that other games have, which in reality, it doesn't lack it, it just doesn't offer it. Which is the sense of character progression through gear and other things. But I really did enjoy the amount of time I spent on the game, aside from some aspects of PvP. So I might go back to Guild Wars and like not even touch PvP, maybe and just play PvE. But I do want to check it out. You know, they're having an expansion. You know, I did enjoy myself in the game. I said if I enjoyed myself, I would partake in the expansion. So I do want to check out the expansion and, you know, see how it is, because they're adding quite a lot of stuff. You know, like a whole new, was it like a talent tree to every class and a new weapon type. So I'm pretty excited to see how it goes for that. And last up, we've got another game which I believe is getting an expansion. This one's a much smaller game. Which is called Hero Siege. Hero Siege, I believe, is getting an expansion here. I think it's this weekend. Where basically what Hero Siege is it's like this crazy hack and slash game. And the reason why this expansion is really cool is this expansion adds Steam servers, which means you can actually play with your friends without port forwarding. Now, again, this is pretty much a game where like you have your character, you get beamed into the world, and it's just a crazy hack and slash. You know, this little pixelated game. Well, I don't know if it's 100% pixelated, but it's a lot of fun. And this is actually a game I'm probably going to play here in the next 2 days with my buddy Spore. And maybe I'll do it with subs. I can't promise anything because you can go like up to like 8 people or something. But it is a very, very, very fun game. And I really did enjoy my time. I haven't played it much, but this patch is going to bring like a bunch of new shit. It's also a roguelike in a sense of when you die, you do lose like everything you've gained in that run or something like that, but you keep permanent buffs. It's kind of strange, but it's really cool. It's a lot of fun to just jump into. So that's pretty much going to be it for the to-do list of this month and recurring into next month. So, you know, if any of the games I'm showing you guys you have an eye on, feel free to check in at some point. Make sure to keep the YouTube channel refreshed. Hit that sub button so you can see the email. If not, then, you know, maybe I will stream a game in the near future that'll attract your attention. Yeah, I know, of course, there are a bunch of other games that are coming out. Like, we've got Black Desert that's coming out in the near future. Lost Ark that's coming out when I've got 2 kids. Blessed Online is coming out at some point as well. Lineage Eternal. You know, there's a lot of other games, but they're not quite at the horizon yet. Or maybe they are and they just haven't released it. Maybe, like, right after I make this video, they'll be like, fuck you, Pohx, we're releasing in 5 days. But, you know, there's quite a lot of games that are coming out. They're just not at that peak yet. And a lot of games I was looking at just so happened to be like, hey, here you go. So I'm excited to really dabble between these games and see which one really, you know, I end up enjoying. That's pretty much going to be it for now, boys. Remember, Stepperu's channel is going to be posted right down there below. I'll just take this link and go. And I hope you guys had a wonderful time. Remember, if you liked the video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys either on the live stream today or definitely tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody.